1923 just released its third episode in season 2, and oh boy, what an episode that was. Yes, the show is moving slightly slower, but I believe it is worth taking our time at every step. The good news is, as of next week's episode 4, we will witness the show speeding up a bit, with some major reunions ahead. So, let's talk about it. Right off the bat, can we talk about Alexandra's terrifying experience at Ellis Island? Because what the hell was that? Like, I can't be the only one who is still shaken by it, right? She finally arrives in New York after what must have been an exhausting journey, but instead of finding relief, she's thrown straight into a nightmare. The immigration process is absolutely brutal, and I found myself squirming in discomfort, watching her being subjected to humiliating scrutiny. I don't know about you, but I was fuming with a mix of anger and sadness as I saw her endure the cold, unfeeling treatment from the officers and medical examiners. Don't get me wrong, there are not many things that would cause Alexandra to give up, but this one truly pushed the limits. Also, did anyone else question why Alexandra did not apply for a visa at the US Embassy? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I suspect that would have spared her some of the torment. My guess is that she did not want to wait for the bureaucratic process, and could not imagine how tough this journey might be. Plus, perhaps she lacks necessary documents that would prove that she is married to Spencer, and thus did not want to make an official visa application. I don't know the reason behind, but I wish they would have explained it, because seeing her, and all the others treated as if they are less than human, was simply heartbreaking. It definitely didn't get better when Alexandra was interviewed by the immigration officials. I don't know about you guys, but when they tell her that pregnant women are seen as undesirable, my stomach sank. As if that wasn't enough, the insults came one after another. The doctors were cold and condescending, and I could barely contain my frustration as she was subjected to unnecessary degrading procedures. Then came the final interview, the one with the bureaucrat who seemed to think every woman who walked through that door owed him something. Money, favors, anything to get approval. I mean, it is a success to make you hate a guy in just a minute, for sure. And yes, I truly hated this man. In fact, I was almost screaming when Alex was told that she might need to pay for her entry. Jesus, what an audacity. But then, just when I thought I couldn't take it anymore, Alexandra proves how strong she is. She fights back by defiantly choosing a passage from Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass that speaks directly to the heart of her experience with the words, "Dismiss whatever insults your own soul." With this simple but effective move, she doesn't just deflect his attempts to humiliate her, she calls him out too, proving once again that she's not intimidated no matter what. When her application is approved, I couldn't help but cheer a little for her. She fought for it, and she won. But I can already tell how traumatized she is from this entire process. Fortunately, compared to that terrible island, New York has been relatively good to Alex. However, not for very long, because at the end of the episode, we saw a stranger watching her, and we all know what's going to happen next. The guy will try to steal her belongings, and he will steal them, unfortunately. However, thanks to the title of the upcoming episode, which is Journey the Rivers of Iron, we know for sure that Alexandra will still manage to catch the train. And yet, since she won't have any money, she will face hunger and cold in the most brutal ways possible. Thankfully, she will meet someone who will offer some help to her. Meanwhile, Spencer's storyline takes its own dark turn. He's traveling with Luca, and the two are tasked with transporting illegal whiskey. When he spots the federal agents, Spencer decides to turn around, thinking it's better to lie low, but Luca is hell-bent on pushing forward. Of course, his decision leads to disaster as he is tragically gunned down by the feds, while Spencer can do nothing but watch helplessly. Well, from this point on, the only thing that Spencer can do is to hide around Texas, while trying to find a way to reach Montana. Of course, he needs to go through Oklahoma first, where he will meet our lovely Marshall Fawcett. She will question him at first, trying to understand what is he doing wandering around. But once Spencer explains his journey, she will sympathize with him, trying to help him out, which will lead to that leaked scene where the two ride a horse together. As of episode 3, we also know that Marshall Fawcett might just be the person to take down Kent and Renault. And do not be surprised if you see Spencer helping her out in doing so. When the Marshal discovered their murderous actions against a few Comanches in her jurisdiction, I knew that things were slowly but gradually changing in favor of Tayana. Speaking of Tayana, we know that she ends up at a cattle ranch where the owner agrees to let them stay. But we also know that Marshal Kent and Father Renault are going to show up sooner or later, blending in with the cowboys. So, get ready for some badass action scenes in episode 4. Now, let's talk about one of the most brutal storylines of the entire series. Back on the Dutton ranch, Jacob and his crew make it through the snowstorm, but of course, things aren't quite that simple. Zane ends up in a pretty bad state, and when Dr. Schilling tries to treat him, it's clear that the guy's brain injury is no joke. In the upcoming episode, we will see Schilling performing a makeshift surgery to relieve the swelling without anesthesia. So, get ready to be terrified by the immense pain of poor Zane. Then, there's Elizabeth, who's not making anyone's life easier. She's still dealing with the painful aftermath of a rabid wolf bite, and let me tell you, her complaints are non-stop. It's hard to watch, especially when Kara finally loses her patience and slaps some sense into her. After that, Elizabeth reluctantly agrees to stay and finish her treatment. But there's still that disagreement between her and Jack. She keeps threatening to leave, and I can't help but wonder if she'll actually go through with it. Personally, I believe she will eventually give in and stay in the ranch, but let me know what you think. The most important incident of the upcoming episode will undoubtedly be Donald's evil ski resort plan, and Dutton's finding out about it. When Banner holds on to Spencer's telegraph, letting his family know that he is on his way to Montana, he will immediately get the news to Donald. Hearing about the spectacular resume of Spencer, Donald will realize that he has to act more quickly than usual to get over the Dutton ranch. Otherwise, he will lose his chance forever, as Spencer is a much stronger rival than Jacob. To speed his plans up, he will first attack the Duttons, injuring Jacob to death. Then, leveraging on Jacob's injury, he will rush to seek for investment for his ski resort, while also trying to convince the town council to take over the ranch from the family, as they are in no shape to preserve it. Let me tell you, things are not looking good for Duttons as we approach episode 4, and I'm nervous about it. For more weekly updates on 1923 Season 2, make sure to like and follow. Meanwhile, the video on the screen might also interest you.